Well, what is going on, YouTube? Welcome back to A Therapeutic Edge. Hey guys, before we go any further, please subscribe to the channel. I would love to have you here on a regular basis. And if you're not following Off Grid Knives over on their Instagram, you should be. They have a great page over there. I will post a link down in the description to not only their website, but to their Instagram page. They're doing some really cool stuff right now. This is one of those things. This phenomenal knife. It's a monster. I love it. So this is the Enforcer XL, and they are not kidding when they say XL. This is a big knife. It is very comfortable. It is a D2 blade. It is G10 scales with steel liners. It is a liner lock, and we're locked up at, let's see, just about 40%, which is really good. It has a marvelous deep carry pocket clip on it and a glass breaker, but we're going to talk about this in a second. It has a metal backspacer so that the glass breaker has something solid to lock into. All of the hardware is blacked out. This is just a great, big, beautiful knife. I love the grind. Sort of the reverse tanto with this fantastic bit of drop right here down to a lovely belly, and the grind on this thing is exquisite. Look at that shine. Dead even on both sides. Now, these are, as far as I know, made by Bestech, who is doing a really good job for Off-Grid. This is no exception. I've had a lot of their knives, as you guys know, and each of them has been very, very good. They are really putting out good stuff. Let's talk about this thing. Let's get the specs out of the way, and then we'll have a serious conversation about it. All right, so first and foremost, let's get the measurements out of the way for those of you that care about such things. The blade here is 3 3/4 on 4 inches of D2 cutting. Excuse me, 3 3/4 of cutting on 4 inches of D2. The grip area from behind the flipper tab is 4 and just about 1/4 inches. Look at that. Look how much room I have. You guys know how big my hands are. That is amazing. It's got such a thing to it. All due respect to Metal Complex, he made a comment the other day that really got me thinking. He said that this knife reminds him of the XM24. And I can't argue with that. This is a $600 knife. This is about $100. But if you want the feel of one of these and cannot afford it, look into one of these. D2 steel will serve you incredibly well. The rest of the build on this knife is exceptionally well done. The difference between the frame and the liner lock is sort of negligible. It's a personal taste thing. The overall hand, of course, they are different shapes. I'm not saying they're the same knife. What I'm saying is nothing else really in my collection feels exactly like this XM24. But all of a sudden, for a third the price, less than that, a sixth of the price, there's this. MC, you were dead on, man. Thank you for pointing that out. You really made me go and look at that. I appreciate it. The overall, I mean, look at the overall length on this thing. We're 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 1/4 inches out here. Now we come to this glass breaker. I don't particularly like glass breakers on my knives, but let me show you something that I noticed. The folks at Off-Grid made it so you can just unscrew it. It's not difficult. It's got a little hole in it that you can screw it down there really tight with a really small, like an Allen wrench. But now, there we go. For me, much better. If you like a glass breaker, there is one for you. The clip is reversible, and while there is no plate on this side, get that to show, there we go. There are 2 screws in place on this side, so there's no open holes. It's very nicely done. The action, look at that. The blade just I mean, not guillotine. It's not going to slice your fingers off. But the action on this knife is so good. Now, mine came dead center, which is really very nicely done. The blade itself isn't crowned, but they've chamfered off the edges down to about here. So there are no sharp edges unless the one place you really want it to be. And they followed that along on the flipper tab as well, which is really nicely done. There is no jimping on the flipper tab. but it protrudes in a way, and it's actually got a little bit of a shape to it, so it grabs your finger, and deployment on this thing is never failed. Let me see if I can... No? So if I push button it, it works. If I light switch it, it works. Let's check the detent. Oh, a little bit. Okay. If you really were to rock this thing, yeah, you can pop the blade out. But I got to tell you, I had to shake that awful hard. For standard use, you know, there's nothing. So the G10 is milled in a diamond pattern, which is really grippy and really nice. As you can see, it's relatively nicely done. Of course, the steel liners are milled out actually quite a bit. Unfortunately, again, with my crappy camera setup, you can't see that, but they're milled out quite a bit for weight savings. The clip, as I mentioned, the Cloppet pick, with another nod to Metal Complex, is steel and has plenty of spring, good ramp, lots of room for thicker jeans. Yeah, this is a real winner. I mean, it's fantastic. Let's see how much it weighs. I don't want to lose this. Oh, before we do that, let's do some other size comparisons. So here it is, of course, as I said, it's a big knife. Here it is again. Here it is, my goodness, up against the Hinderer XM24. And as you can see, these knives are almost identical in length and dimension. They are very, very similar in the pocket. However, the XL Enforcer is a little thinner. So it actually rides in the pocket a little bit better, which, by the way, the closed length on this thing is 5 1/4 inches. So you got to have full-size pockets to drop that in the pocket. Here it is against, let's do it up against another big beefy knife. Here it is against the full-size Adamas. If we line up the pivots, you can see that the Adamas is just a little bit smaller, but you get a very, very, very similar size blade. You get a little more handle up here on the Enforcer XL. And just to be silly, here it is against the Bug Out. Yeah, the Enforcer is a big, big knife, which makes me very, very happy. I love this stuff. I do. I love that they're doing it. They've made a bunch of really great mid-size and even sort of smaller knives that have been excellent quality, good to use, fun to carry, all that stuff. They make some big monster fixed blades that are a ton of fun, and now they have dropped this thing, which is just fantastic. It really is. What else can we compare it against? Well, here's a knife that's bigger. There. It's not the biggest thing on the table anymore, but you got to go up to here to get there. All right, now let's weigh it. God, this is my own process, and sometimes I feel like I have no idea what's going on one moment to the next. I accept that about me. I hope you guys do as well. All right. So, what do we weigh in at? All right, 7.2 ounces. The XM24, 7.6. As I said, the feel and hand, they're very, very similar. In fact, earlier when I was experimenting with this, I forgot which one I had in my pocket because I have deep carry clips on both. And I was walking along and I reached for it and I thought, wait, which knife is this? And it wasn't until I got my hands on the titanium on this side of that I realized I was carrying this instead of it. So yeah, very similar in hand. D2, as I said, is done very nicely. I wonder how much they gave us. It's a relatively thin piece of D2, which I like because that means, there we go, zero that out. Right. So at the thickest spot back here, well, it's 4 millimeters. It looks thin, I think, because of the size of the knife. And the chamfering here on the sides. It tricks you a little bit, tricks the eye. So 4 millimeters. Now, it is kind of a saber grind, so you have a flat along the top here. It has enough room, because of the size of the blade, to drop down to, as I said, a very nice edge. All right, so where are we? In the final analysis, if I may, this is a great knife. made by a good company. The people that run Off Grid are super nice. If you are looking for a big, beefy work knife that does not cost an arm and a leg, I mean an arm and a leg, the Off Grid Enforcer XL is a really great choice. D2 tool steel, cryo done as they do it. I have other knives. I have to tell you that it is, well, like I can't tell you. I'm not there when they heat treat it. But what I do know from using their D2 in the past is that whatever's going on when they put these together, they're doing that part right. The edge holds exceptionally well because it is this great black wash, this great coating, right? You don't have to worry nearly as much about rust as you do on some other D2. And I haven't had any of their blades rust on me yet. And I take them outside with me all the time. So there's that. So the final analysis is this. This is a fantastic pocket knife from Off Grid. I hope that if you're interested in a big beefy knife, you will at least go take a look at this and give them a shot. As I said, their website and Instagram will be linked down in the description below. Check it out. I think it's worth your time. I know it's been worth mine. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you next time.